I was an aspiring actress, trying to make a name for myself in the competitive world of Hollywood. One night, after a small theater performance, I noticed a man lingering near the stage door. He introduced himself as David and said he was a big fan of my work. Flattered, I thanked him and thought nothing more of it. Over the next few weeks, David attended every performance I had, always sitting in the front row. He would send flowers and letters to my dressing room, professing his admiration for me. At first, I appreciated the attention, but it soon became overwhelming. One evening, I found David waiting for me outside the theater. He insisted on walking me to my car, and I reluctantly agreed. During the walk, he revealed he knew details about my schedule and where I lived. I felt uneasy but tried to brush it off. As the weeks passed, David's behavior escalated. He started showing up at my apartment building, leaving gifts at my door, and calling me incessantly. I blocked his number and told him to leave me alone, but he didn't listen. One night, I came home to find my apartment door unlocked and my belongings moved around. A note was left on my coffee table, saying, "I just want to be closer to you." Terrified, I called the police, who took a report but couldn't do much without concrete evidence. Despite changing my locks and increasing security measures, David found ways to contact me. He would send emails from different accounts, create fake social media profiles, and even showed up at auditions I attended. I felt trapped and scared for my safety. One day, I received a chilling package at my agent's office. Inside was a collection of photos of me taken from afar, along with a detailed journal of my daily activities. The realization that David had been stalking me for months sent shivers down my spine. With the help of my agent and a private investigator, we gathered enough evidence to get a restraining order against David. He was arrested and charged with stalking and harassment. Finally, I could breathe a sigh of relief, but the fear lingered. Even after David was behind bars, I struggled with anxiety and paranoia. I moved to a new city, changed my routines, and became hypervigilant about my privacy. The experience had left scars that would take years to heal, a constant reminder of the dangers that fame can bring. When I started college, I was excited to meet new people and experience independence. However, my excitement turned to fear when I started receiving anonymous messages from someone who seemed to know everything about me. They knew my class schedule, where I liked to study, and even what I ate for breakfast. At first, I thought it was a prank, but the messages became more frequent and detailed. They described my daily routines and who I spent time with. I started to feel like someone was watching me, even in the safety of my own dorm room. One night, I woke up to find my dorm room door unlocked. I knew I had locked it before going to bed. Inside, I found a note on my desk that read, "I'm always watching." Terrified, I called campus security and filed a report. Despite the increased security measures, the stalking continued. I would find notes slipped under my door, gifts left outside my dorm room, and even strange items placed on my bed. I felt like I had no escape, and my grades began to suffer from the stress. One evening, I returned to my dorm room to find someone inside. Going through my belongings, I screamed, and my roommate rushed in, startling the intruder who fled the scene. The police were called, but the person was never caught. After that incident, I moved out of the dorms and into a secure off-campus apartment. I changed my phone number, deactivated my social media accounts, and tried to create a new sense of normalcy. However, the fear of being watched and followed haunted me for years. Was stalking me or why? The experience left me with trust issues and a constant sense of unease. I struggled to feel safe on campus and often wondered if I would ever be able to regain the sense of security I once had. I had just landed my dream job at a prestigious law firm in the city. Everyone was friendly and welcoming, including one of my colleagues, Eric. He was charming and seemed genuinely interested in helping me settle in. Little did I know, his interest would soon turn into something much darker. Eric started finding excuses to talk to me, stopping by my desk multiple times a day under the guise of work-related matters. He would compliment my appearance and make subtle comments that made me uncomfortable, but I brushed it off as harmless flirting. One evening, I stayed late to finish a project. As I packed up to leave, I found Eric waiting for me in the parking garage. He offered to walk me to my car, and I reluctantly agreed. During the walk, he confessed his feelings for me and insisted we should be together. I told him firmly that I wasn't interested and drove home, feeling uneasy. The next day, Eric started leaving notes and small gifts on my desk. The notes became more intense, describing how he watched me and fantasized about our future together. I reported his behavior to HR, but they said there was little they could do without concrete evidence of harassment. Eric's actions continued to escalate. He would follow me to meetings, stand outside my office, and even show up at my apartment building. One night, I received a series of texts from an unknown number, describing what I was wearing and what I was doing in my apartment. I realized Eric was watching me from outside. Terrified, I called the police, who found him lurking in the bushes outside my window. Eric was arrested for stalking and harassment. The firm fired him immediately, but the damage was done. I moved to a new city and changed jobs, hoping to leave the nightmare behind. The experience left me with deep-seated fears and a constant sense of unease. Moving into a quiet suburban neighborhood seemed like the perfect fresh start after a difficult breakup. My new neighbor, Mr. Thompson, seemed friendly enough, a retired man who always had a kind word and a helping hand. Little did I know, his kindness masked a dark obsession. Mr. Thompson started stopping by my house unexpectedly, claiming he wanted to check if everything was okay. He would bring homemade treats and offer unsolicited advice about home maintenance. At first, I appreciated the gesture, but soon it became intrusive. One evening, I came home to find Mr. Thompson waiting for me on my porch swing. He started asking personal questions about my life and relationships, making me feel uncomfortable. I politely excused myself and went inside, hoping to avoid further interaction. As the weeks went by, Mr. Thompson's visits became more frequent and his questions more probing. He would show up at odd hours, sometimes peering through my windows or lingering near my yard. I started to feel like I was being watched all the time. One day, I found a letter slipped under my door. It was a handwritten note from Mr. Thompson, professing his feelings for me and how he wanted us to be together. Shocked and frightened, I immediately called the police and showed them the note. The police spoke to Mr. Thompson, who denied any wrongdoing and claimed he was just being neighborly. They warned him to stay away from me, but his behavior didn't stop. He would leave gifts at my door, leave flowers on my car, and even try to strike up conversations whenever he saw me outside. One night, I heard noises coming from my backyard. I looked out to see Mr. Thompson peering through my fence. I yelled at him to leave me alone, but he just smiled and said he couldn't stop thinking about me. Terrified, I called the police again, who arrested him for trespassing and harassment. Mr. Thompson was charged and eventually moved away from the neighborhood, but the experience left me traumatized. I struggled with anxiety and fear, constantly checking my locks and looking over my shoulder. Moving houses didn't erase the memories of his obsessive behavior. As a freelance graphic designer, I relied heavily on social media to showcase my work and connect with clients. One day, I received a message from a user named John Smith, complimenting my portfolio and asking for design advice. I responded politely, unaware that it would mark the beginning of a chilling ordeal. John seemed friendly and knowledgeable about design, so I didn't think twice about continuing our conversation. He would send me messages throughout the day, asking about my projects and offering tips. I appreciated his input and saw him as a mentor figure. However, John's messages soon took a more personal turn. He started asking invasive questions about my personal life, wanting to know where I lived, my daily routine, and even my relationship status. I became cautious and started to distance myself, but he persisted. One evening, I received a package at my doorstep. Inside was a beautifully wrapped gift with a note from John, expressing his admiration for my talent and how he wanted to support my career. I was creeped out. How did he know my address? I blocked John on all social media platforms and changed my privacy settings. But he found ways to contact me. He created new profiles, sent emails from anonymous accounts, and even started calling me from different numbers. I felt trapped and scared for my safety. One night, I was working late in my studio when I heard footsteps outside. I peeked through the blinds to see a shadowy figure watching me from across the street. I called the police, who arrived quickly but found no one in the area. I knew it had to be John. The police advised me to document everything and consider filing a restraining order. But without knowing John's real identity, it felt futile. I lived in constant fear, always looking over my shoulder and second-guessing every new message or email I received. Eventually, with the help of a tech-savvy friend, we traced John's IP address to a location across the country. The police were able to track him down and arrest him for cyberstalking and harassment. It turned out he had been fixated on me for months, gathering information from my social media posts and online presence. Even after John was apprehended, I struggled with anxiety and paranoia. I deactivated my social media accounts, changed my phone number, and moved to a new city to start fresh. The experience left me wary of online interactions and the dangers that lurk behind seemingly harmless messages. These stories illustrate the chilling reality of stalking and the profound impact it can have on its victims, leaving lasting scars and a constant sense of fear. Each victim faced a relentless pursuit that invaded their lives, demonstrating the importance of awareness, vigilance, and support in combating stalking behavior.